So, you are looking to get into Paladins. Today, we are going to make a beginner's guide so you can start improving and winning all of your matches. Paladins is a game in the hero shooter genre, offering a 5v5 format with a variety of modes in casual, plus a rank system featuring the main mode of Paladins, Siege. Siege is what we will focus on since this is the main selling point of Paladins. As of recording, there are 59 champions and Paladins, all of which have completely different kits and playstyles. How? Well, each champion has 3 sets of talents, making the champion essentially have 3 different playstyles. On top of this, there is a card system. Each character has 16 cards that amplifies or alters your character in some way. These cards are used in decks and are allowed 15 points, and each card can have a maximum of 5 points, with 5 cards in each deck. So you can make some pretty cool builds and playstyles, meaning there is almost a guaranteed chance you will find a champion worthwhile for you to play. Let's talk about Siege. This is your main game mode of Paladins. In this mode, you must fill up the meter to 100% by standing on the point and capturing it. Once this meter has been filled to 100%, the payload spawns, and you must push this payload to the capture point near the enemy's base, and you must acquire 4 points to win. Both point captures and payload captures count as 1 point, meaning if you capture the point and then push the payload to the enemy base, you will be granted 2 points. If you successfully defend against the payload, you also gain a point, but cannot win the game off of a defense. Meaning if it is 3-3 and they are pushing the payload, you cannot get to your 4th point by defending against their push, and must capture the point to win the game. So let's talk about how you can instantly start becoming a good Siege player. We won't go super in depth, but we will cover the basics so you can hop in and do good. First are maps. Each map is separated into 3 imaginary lines, left, middle, and right. When you first start playing, you might not see it or just play in the middle, but each map has imaginary lanes and lines, and these are going to be how you learn each map. And this applies to all game modes and Paladins. Each has 3 lanes, and depending on your role, you will play lanes differently. Now that we understand map basics, let's talk about the 5 roles and what to do when you are on each, so you have a better chance of winning no matter the role you have picked. First is the point tank. This is going to be your main point capturer. These tanks usually have shields, walls, or things making it difficult to get to the point, but suffer from not having the highest damage output. Next is off tank. These tanks usually have high mobility to allow them to flank with the flank, high amounts of damage or distraction tools, as well as zooming capabilities. They are usually tankier than point tanks since off tanks are mostly in the enemy lines, and they need that extra tankiness to help them live a bit more. Now that tanks are covered and you know how to play tank, let's talk about damage. As a damage character, you are looking to play in your backline, control high ground, and do damage to whoever is on point, allowing for your pointing to capture the point, as well as making sure your support doesn't die if they are also playing in the backline. Be aware, as damage is the most prone class to flanks and off tanks, being that their role is to stop you from doing damage. So position safely, usually in the opposite lane of the enemy, while still having LOS of the point so you can do damage while being safely placed out of danger. So we have seen flanks mentioned a bit. Let's talk about how you can play them. Flanks generally will play off of their team's positioning, and they want to have that position advantage. If your team attacks the left lane, you want to do the opposite. If your team attacks mid, you want to play opposite of the enemy team, and so on. Why? Because while your team is attacking left, they don't know you're coming from the right, meaning you can get a lot of damage off while being in a safe position. You are distracting them from the rest of your team, meaning if you play flank right, you are either going to force them to turn to you, and your team goes in first and wins the fight for point control, or they focus on your team and you dive the damage and support with the off tank and get free damage or kills, allowing for your team to deal with the other 3 more freely. Supports are a more simple class. As a support, you will be healing your team, providing damage to help secure kills, provide CC for setup if the character has it, and just overall supporting your team in any way you can. As a support, you are looking to heal when people get really low to save them, or to reset HPs in between fights, while still outputting damage in a fight and healing if someone is going to die. These are the basics in Paladins, and hopefully helped you improve at each role and how to play maps better. And if you're just getting into Paladins, hopefully this was a good introduction to the game, and I hope to see you all out in the field. Drop a sub and a like if you enjoyed the guides and info videos. If not, drop a dislike. It does help me out. Anyway, have a good one. Until next time.